Hello, and welcome to Life After 3D episode 11. I think it's 11. This one is a one I've been putting off for ages, and it's basically going through some of the comments both on here, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, etc., etc. I was going to use my iPad and read out all the documents of all the things. However, the iPad's decided not to work today, so I'm going to use my phone. Now, hopefully I don't get any notifications. Just remember that I've started an Etsy business selling t-shirts. There's a link down there amongst all the stuff on the YouTube links. Go and buy something if you want to. So I'm going to work from the beginning. So this one's from about a month ago from Kevin Hop. And he said, I'm sorry to hear I had a very similar experience as well a few years ago and found it very tough mentally. I went back to school and got a management degree and have been marrying that and my CG skills into studio leadership positions. Not a bad idea. It's something that part of me, I know fine well I can do higher roles that don't use my hands in the 3D industry. However, I was pigeonholed quite early on as a sculpting guy. This is not a pigeonhole I put myself in, it's the one that other people did. This somewhat limits things. For Martin Hinks, I wish you luck, Wayne. Been following your career for a number of years. Maybe one day you can make a video about all the work you've done on the NDA once public. I'm sure you have many interesting stories and music insights into behind the scenes. Oh yes, indeed I do. Unfortunately, a lot of these are what I call eternal NDAs. That means that I can never mention them ever. It's a shame because I have some absolute doozies of stories. If only I was actually tempted to write a book on stuff like this to be published after my death, but I'd probably still manage to get sued somehow even though I'm dead. And then Matthew Hart put, when I was covering a lot about the stuff of the best ways to not burn out people working under you. He's going, I wish you were my manager. Well, to be fair, I wish I was somebody, or your manager or anybody else's manager right now, because that would mean I would have a job. Chris Fraser, good to see your Life After 3D series. Think you're right to try and stick with one topic at a time for these. Good for the algo. Yeah. Have you thought about doing a regular podcast? I think you'd work well with people to bounce off guests and co-hosts. Sure, you've got the industry contacts to have loads of interesting shows. There's a few of these already. Might be enough room for one with a northeast accent. See, this is the problem. My accent, not everybody finds it easy to understand. It's been a brick wall for a lot of things in my career. While I know a vast litany of people in the industry, a lot of them are in different time zones. So unless I was getting up at insane o'clock in the morning or staying up until the early hours, it would be quite difficult to do some of the more interesting people. Of course, talking of people I know, my good friend, Mr. Zap Anderson, put, I'm impressed the automatic captions speaks Wayne tongue. You and me both, mate. When I used to do the old Wayncast back in the day, back in 2010 and stuff like that, the automatic captions were often hilarious, unintentionally hilarious, that the AI would try and generate. Now, it shows how far we've came. It can understand me. One from Nazumi here. Do as much as you want about yourself. Always good to see you make trips to Mexico. I do think you may come back to 3D after all. Maybe VR gets better. Maybe some new breakthrough in medicine happens. Never say never. It's not going to be tomorrow, and whatever is your plan for the near future, hopefully it should work, but you don't have to think I will never do 3D again. And he goes on about the fact that there was a sculptor in Mexico, a young lad lost his right arm, had it amputated after bad cancer treatment, and basically one arm he basically made some realistic sculpture. And there's a Wikipedia link and stuff like that. And he says, I'm not trying to minimise in any way what you're going through, simply since I saw that sculpture and heard the story, it helps me thinking that maybe regardless of how bad things are, we can always do something we want. Anyway, I've got much luck with everything. The thing here is, if I go back to 3D, then I know exactly what I'm facing in regards to my hands. If that happens, that's the worst case scenario. Simple as that. Even if I do something as simple as play World of Warcraft for an hour, I can feel it in my hands. I'm very careful with them. I do have a couple of other ideas moving forward for things outside of 3D. I've run departments of 600 people before. I can easily do this. However, as I say, people like to pigeonhole me, so I'm not the only one. So I'm going to have a word with a couple of friends I know in the industry that see if I can, if they've got any ideas. Ruben Derek said, could you consider physical sculpture over digital? Hey, question for you. Why are you not thinking of ideas that involve taking your 3D expertise and utilizing them in a different way? From an outside perspective, you have always accumulated knowledge and abilities built over the years. In terms of barrier to entry, you've already got all this credit in the bank, but you're ignoring it and thinking of things with no barrier to entry to speak of. Sorry, this comes over harsh in my text, not my intention at all. A lot of it is because it is quite painful, the idea of having to watch other people do 3D. As I say, I've been 3D supervisor, I've been leads, I've been seniors, I've filled loads of different roles, lighting, environment, sculpting, you name it, I've covered it, apart from animation. So, well, could I make a VFX supervisor? Yeah, easy, fall out of bed doing that stuff. I've got a well-trained eye, attention for detail. These are transferable skills. But one of the barriers is also my age. I'm 50 now. In fact, in just over a month, I'll be 51. Time is cracking on. It's not getting, any easier. So anything I train myself in moving forward has to be fairly fast. Now, luckily, one of my superpowers is I learn things at an incredibly fast rate. It often freaks people out that I can immerse myself in the subject for 2 weeks and be highly competent at it, and after a month, be spot on. It's a talent I've always had. The teaching side, hopefully I'll get a bit more of that. The trouble is, well, you can't actually work for multiple sort of universities because they always put you on an exclusion contract, which means that if you only get X hours of days a week, you can't top them up somewhere else. So that is what it is. Now, will I start doing sort of some video tutorials on 3D subjects? Yeah, probably, because I can record those at my own pace. They don't have to be all done in X amount of time with say 6 or 8 hour sessions that are going to make these even worse. So I can take my time on them. That'll probably happen. I'm not entirely sure moving forward what to do. I did do the last lot I did was some of the stuff on Gaia and Gaia UE4. Don't really know whether I'm going to continue with that or not. It's not exactly a thriving market. Although I did make some money off it, it wasn't. You went to phone numbers here. It was after the initial spike for the first couple of weeks. It normally settled down and it basically made beer money for one of my nights out. That was about it, So I'm unsure. There's plenty of things like that I could feasibly do. I think the thing is, the visual effects and games industry, I've got a feeling we're going to see some quite spectacular uses of AI coming up, which are going to get rid of quite a lot of jobs. Part of me feels I might have got out of this at just the right time. I hope I'm wrong. But as I say, I am going to have a word with a few people that I used to work with, see what their views on things are and how feasible it is. This is the problem. Yeah, I can do these jobs, like say VFX Super or whatever. How feasible is it? What are the chances of me actually getting a job? Yes, it's an incredible waste of all the stuff up here and all the knowledge of 27 years of living, eating, breathing and shitting 3D, but that's just the way it happens sometimes. I'd be quite sad if it sort of just went unused. One problem I've had in the past, towards the end of my career, was often the people that I was working under had been doing it less time than me. In some cases, it was people I even taught. This doesn't really go down too well in some cases. Some people have a bit of an ego problem with that see if they're a VFX super, they like to think that they know more than everybody else, right? Now, if you've got somebody who's been doing it twice as long as they have, was one of the people that helped to train them, they feel like they've had the balls cut off basically sometimes. Not everybody, just some people that will go unnamed. So it's one of the things where working primarily as a freelancer, that you don't have a lot of the benefits that you would do if you're working in-house. Now, yes, it's been pointed out to me that more and more people are now allowed to work from home, but it's getting into something where, one, they take me seriously on exactly how much bloody knowledge is in my head. Two, they think that taking by then a 51-year-old man on makes financial sense for them, and stuff like this, I'm looking at some other things at the moment, current ideas that I'm looking into, because the training for it is not very long at all, is designing and making jewellery, because I do need something to feed the art part of my head, right? And the last person mentioned physical sculpture. No, that's even worse for these. Trust me, tried. Especially if you're using something, like, the ProPlast and stuff like that, and wax. Sculpting with wax, you'd think it would be a lot better with it being warm. Unfortunately, unless you're using all these barrier creams and stuff, it ruins the skin on your hands. I bought a load of it a few years back, and it took the skin off my hands, and I was unable to do anything for about 3 weeks. So yeah, it's not really a thing. There's lots of things I could mess around with and do the occasional bit, but not intensive sessions, stuff like that. But yeah, so keep the comments coming and all that. It's nice to see some sort of feedback from all of you. I never profess to know everything, or that I know exactly what I'm going to do moving forward, because we are off the plan now. I've had a plan my entire life, sometimes 10, 20-year plans that work out, because I play a long-term game. But now I've been forced into a situation where there is no grand plan. There's no big scheme, there's no end goal that I'm aiming towards currently, because this is a bit of a shock, right? So we're just going to have to see where it goes, But yeah, I'm Wayne Robson. This has been Life After 3D. I think it's episode 11, pretty sure, 90% sure it's episode 11. I should really check this shit before I record, but doesn't dawn until I've walked up the stairs into this room. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. God knows what we'll be talking about then, but yeah, any sort of suggestions or any sort of things you feedback, yeah, stick it down there. I don't mind. Bye-bye.